Welcome to this week's episode of the Sports Curious podcast. I'm your host, Amy Butchon-Siegfried, and I am joined by my favorite brother, favorite co-host, Scott. Scott, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me once again. Excited to talk about love.
I mean, this when I sent this podcast idea over, you were like, "Yes, can we please talk about power couples because you are so synonymous with Cupid."
And my obsession with power couples is at an all-time high this time of year.
Today, the tiny human was like, "What's the mascot for February?" And I was like, "That's an interesting question." I was like, "Well, maybe Cupid?" And he's like, "What is Cupid?" I was like, "Also a good question. A mythical angel baby that shoots people with arrows." Like, how do you explain that to a 5-year-old? Like, this all sounds strange. It's weird.
That went down a weird rabbit hole for a mascot
It really
question.
did. Yeah, I was like, I don't really know how to answer this question. And I'm trying to like put my shoes on and get out the door. I don't know. So we have a plethora of couples that we want to talk about today in the world of sports, these sports power couples. But then we also have some that we were like, well, we wish they would have stayed together, or we wish they were. Maybe I want you, as you think about this, like I want you to hypothesize maybe if you could just create a sports power couple, who would you want them to be? So let's think about that. I just dropped that on you. So think about that for the end. And let's
Okay.
see if we can pull something together. Like if there was just like two people you really thought would just be incredible and we could take over the universe.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't have that yet.
Stay
So I
tuned.
don't have mine either.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. It could be a hot mess. So I want to start us off with, in my opinion, one of the ultimate power couples. They're fresh off their documentary, which is phenomenal, and a Super Bowl commercial together. The Beckhams, David and Victoria Beckham. The documentary, I think you watched it. I did. It was so interesting to me because I don't remember really the beginning of his career, much of it. I really don't remember until he probably came to the U.S.
Yeah, I think I watched one episode of the documentary with you, and that's kind of where it ended for me. So that was the first and only episode I've watched.
It's really interesting. I recommend it for multiple reasons, right? The world is obsessed with tabloids and royalty, et cetera, but they were that royalty. And that's something to really think about, right? She was a Spice Girl, and he was this phenomenal player in England. And so just to listen to their story and how entitled people thought they were to their story and their images and how they, had to protect their children and just the stories of I mean, and where she's going, "Okay, well, David decided to unretire and then start going to play for this team, and here we go again." And here she is trying to start a business and all these things. It was just it gave you a real life look on while their circumstances are nowhere close to the average human, the average American, or the average person. It's a lot of battles that we still struggle with, like, "Oh, okay, yeah, no problem. I'll stay home and take care of everything while you just go ahead and handle it and take off to go where you need to go for work." And it was very much a similar vibe, which I really appreciated about them.
And this was before social media. Could you imagine two stars of their magnitude trying to somewhat keep it out of the press and live their lives? It would be impossible nowadays, I think.
I mean, look at Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. You can't turn a page in any magazine, you can't
Mhm.
talk about a sporting event, you can't talk about football at this point without talking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and no offense to NFL and Travis, but Beckham was probably 100 times more popular around the world with the Premier
Yeah.
League. So yeah, it would be probably too much to handle, honestly.
I mean, it's
So
incredible. Like,
credit to them for making it.
I'm hopeful for Travis and Taylor that now that football season is over, they get a little break out of the limelight because they're just not everywhere. But, I mean, she's still gonna be everywhere because it's Taylor Swift.
Hmm. But Victoria was a Spice Girl, so
It's true.
kind of on the same level, just with
Yeah,
more access to social media now.
right. Well, and a little bit more success, at this
Hmm.
point for Taylor, but no, you're
Yes.
absolutely right. And it's I'm looking at some of these couples on our list and truly how, I really had to look into, like, do they have children? Or I know they do, and how many, which I really appreciate, and I know how challenging it is to keep your child out of the mix, and so they've done such an incredible job of that.
Mhm.
I look at, we have a handful of people who are married to hockey players, right? Aaron Andrews is married to Jarrett Stoll, and Carrie Underwood is married to Mike Fisher, and Carrie and Jared have been or excuse me, Aaron and Jared have been married, 5 years-ish. They have a brand new baby, and she talks a lot about the challenges of traveling with a very little one, for work, and then you have Carrie Underwood and Mike Fisher who've been married for 14 years.
And I think the hockey players are such, like, just in general, like, low-key people. I think it's good for Aaron and Carrie that they don't seek the limelight whatsoever. So I think that's a little bit easier. Or, like,
Absolutely.
you never hear a hockey player post-game talk about themselves, no matter what. It's always about
That's
the team
true.
and deflecting questions, so I think I think that probably helps to make it work a little bit.
That's a really interesting take that I never really thought about listening to interviews. You're right. They don't. They're very
It's
much about the team.
it's, like, scripted almost. It's kinda hilarious to listen to them talk and
Like,
just
here you go. You're a rookie. Here's your script, and here's the words you're supposed to say. We never say I. We never say
Yes,
me. That's interesting. Well, that would also make for good, marriage material, right? Because if you want someone
yeah,
who's a good teammate versus worried about themselves,
exactly.
incredible thought. Well, I do really enjoy, Erin Andrews' Calm Down podcast with,
Mhm.
Carissa. Why am I blanking on Carissa's last name?
Swanson,
Yes. I
yes.
really just enjoy just the perils of all things of I know you probably don't listen to it, but what to pack to go on air and how many pairs of Spanx did you have and why did you pack that outfit that doesn't fit even though you thought it might fit when you got there because we've all done that too.
Totally.
Totally, you've done
No,
that before.
I did listen to the one with Dan Patrick. I don't know if you have, but
I
it's
did.
really I thought that was really great that he does so much behind the scenes that he was a mentor to both of them coming up,
Mhm.
which he didn't have to be. So it was a really cool interview
It was
to
super cool.
get insight into.
Well, and it's like how fangirl they are about
Mhm.
him, right? About what an incredible human he is, and like you said, what a mentor he was to them.
And and I really enjoyed he gave them interview tips. I don't know if you remember kind of the interview tips he gave them to become better interviewers, but it was very interesting because he's such a pro.
I remember them being really good. Do you remember what any of those were?
Most of them were you don't like give your opinion after the question or after answer the after they answer the question. You just kind of keep rolling. You don't interject your opinions.
And I remember him saying something like, "You're gonna have 2 questions you get to ask,
Mhm.
maybe post-game. Like, you better have them ready, they better be good, because you have 2 questions, that's all you get. And if they're
Yes.
not good, they're gonna look at you with a one short answer, and make sure they
Yeah.
aren't short answers. Give them, like, a chance to talk about whatever that is."
Mhm. Thought provoking
Thought-provoking, that's
questions.
the word I was
Yes.
looking for. Yeah, those 2, I mean, we might call Carissa and Aaron also a power couple too, in their own right.
There we go.
So moving into I'm gonna dive into a little bit of soccer here because we have a pretty good list of phenomenal soccer couples. The obvious one that comes to the top is Megan Rapinoe and Sue Bird. Megan Rapinoe, the phenomenal soccer player for the U.S. Women's National Team. She has just been such a driver in the world of women's sports. And then Sue Bird, who played for a very long time in the WNBA, won some championships with Seattle,
Mhm.
um, Olympic gold medals. They actually met at the Olympics, if I remember correctly.
I don't recall which year, but I think that was like a photo shoot, I believe, if I'm not
And,
mistaken. And
and here
that's
we are.
and I think they both lived in either both in Seattle or I think they were
Hmm.
both in the same city and never met each other before. So
Hmm. Imagine that being a female professional athlete in the same city and you've never met each other. I mean, especially, I mean, they're in Seattle. It's not like
yeah,
you're in Hong Kong or, I don't know, New Delhi, London. But it's incredible. I mean, their story is really, really great. It's great to see them support each other. I believe they were the first same sex couple in the ESPN Body Edition, Body Issue. Is that what they call it? So they were both in there. They were featured on In Style. They've had so many great, great profiles. There was a great, I don't wanna get too political, but back when they were really pushing for equal pay for the US women's national team, Megan Rapinoe has been very vocal against, presidents and leaders of our country, and, Sue Bird wrote an article that was entitled, "So the president effing hates my girlfriend," and nothing like defending your spouse's honor, with an article like that. I'm sure it was it's very poignant, if you will.
Yes, that's certainly a statement, but they've they've made it through that.
And now
They're
they're
st-
both retired,
Now they're both retired.
living the retired life, maybe getting married one day. Who knows? Not judging either way.
Nope.
Now we also have, like, a throwback, right? Mia Hamm and Nomar Parra. They might have been one of our first big power couples besides maybe Andre Agassi and Steffi Graf. But Mia Hamm, OG US women's national team soccer player, and Nomar Garcia, longtime player, big all-star, played for the Red Sox for the majority of his career. And the two of them have kind of just, like you said, quietly flown under the radar as well.
And you see Mia kind of pop up around World Cup time, so that's really the only time you ever kind of see her in the spotlight. Because I know there was a lot of talk about last World Cup about the original team to win it when Brenny Chastain, ripped off her shirt. So one of the most
Y-
memorable moments in history. So really, that's the only time you see her kind of out and about.
Yeah, yeah. Now we also have a newcomers to this list, Mallory and Dansby Swanson. And fill us in a little bit about those two.
So they're kind of the modern day love story soccer athlete couple. So they both actually play in Chicago. So Dansby plays for the Cubs. He signed a massive deal with the Cubs. And then Mallory just became the highest paid player in NWSL history with the Chicago team. So they're kind of a sports power couple and a Chicago power couple.
And similarly, we have, JJ Watt and his wife as well, right? Another power couple. Granted, now they're both retired as well, but
Mhm.
football and soccer as well. Both, she played in the NWSL as Mallory does, and I mean, just an incredible. And I believe she also played for Chicago as well, didn't she?
I believe, yeah, at one point she did. Kalia, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. And now they
Yeah.
now they own a soccer team in the Premier in Europe. So
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
she's,
that.
she's converted JJ completely to a different kind of football.
Yep. Just it's spelled the same depending on where you're at.
Yeah, and their kid is, I'm sure, going to be an absolute superstar
Can you imagine?
with those genes. I think he's already massive.
But it's so interesting when you look at the pressure of, some of these kids who've come from really athletic families, LeBron, right, and Bronny,
Mhm.
and you have the Manning family, and they've cultivated these athletes because they don't know any different. We look at the Harbaughs, right? Jim and John Harbaugh and how their dad was a coach. Like, you don't know any different, right? You can
Mhm.
speak football better at 3 years old than I can. You can tell me
Yes,
about plays when before you could eat with a fork.
it's just ingrained in you every day,
Mhm. And the
and
hard
it's
work is ingrained in you.
impressive that those kids, like you said, the Harbaughs and Bronny and some of these don't. They're not like spiteful about being the son or daughter of an
Mhm.
athlete. They've embraced it and really gone for it.
Mhm. Now, I want you to try to find me another couple on this list that probably works harder than Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens. I feel like Simone Biles has gotta be in there doing what she does every single day, especially with the Summer Olympics approaching in Paris
Mhm.
this year and her return, but her husband, Jonathan Owens, plays for the Packers. They might also have the biggest size differential between, the couples too, height-wise.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's, I don't know if that's scientific fact, but it seems correct.
Seems correct. I'm here for this. Let's just make it up. We'll
Yeah.
declare it
I
here.
mean, this is gonna be the year of Simone Biles, I think, heading up to the Summer Olympics, and she was in Green Bay supporting her husband, wearing Kristen Juszczyk's jackets,
That's right.
you know, so she's really embraced herself in the Green Bay culture, all while all eyes are on Paris for her.
That's great. Yeah, and for those of you who don't know who Kristen Juszczyk is, you may remember she made these custom jackets for Simone Biles and Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Lautner, and she ended up getting a deal with the NFL, licensing deal with the NFL. Her husband, Kyle, plays for the 49ers, and he was out there repping her. Every time somebody posted a picture of Taylor Swift in this jacket, he was like, "Jacket by Kristen Juszczyk," and he was tagging her and stuff, and so you love to see the excitement of
Mhm.
these couples that really truly are supportive of each other.
And there's a bonus power couple, the Juice Checks.
The juice
Yes.
also the winners of this list for the hardest to spell last name.
I every time I type it in, I get frustrated. My phone has
Yeah.
no clue what I'm trying to.
It always gets flagged on my Grammarly. I'm like, "No, I promise it's right. As
Yeah,
long as one of them is spelled right, they're all spelled right."
hard last name, great jackets.
Well, I mean, there you go. Good people. Good enough.
Yes.
I'm here for this. A couple I want to us to talk about real quickly before we dive into we wish they would have worked out. We have Kate Upton, swimsuit model, uh, Justin Verlander. They've been married for quite a while. He just won a World Series, right, with the Rangers? Did I get that right?
And he was injured,
Oh, he was
so
injured. Okay. Well, was he not on the team? He's still on the roster.
he's still playing.
Okay.
So he's still
But
technically the power couple.
yeah,
Yeah.
and but he's been playing for a very long time.
Sorry, he was. I apologize. He started the year with the Mets and then went to the Astros,
The
where he,
Astros.
he
I
won.
was actually
He
as I
won a
said
World
that, I
Series.
was thinking
Yeah, he did win a World Series with the Astros. So
that's right, but that was
yeah,
previously.
yes,
Yes, they lost the Rangers this year. That's right.
but
So,
still a
well,
power couple. But they have a few kids, right? I think
they've won. But do you
one.
remember when he was traded right before the Astros won the World Series? Do you remember, like, they had to push back their wedding for
Mhm.
the World
Oh,
Series
that's right.
parade?
Yes,
Yeah, that was a whole thing.
I think he almost missed his own wedding, if I'm not
He
mistaken.
did, right?
He
Because
was
he
on the
well
He was on the Tigers, and
mhm,
they had no chance, so they scheduled their wedding. Then he got traded.
and it was in Italy. It wasn't around the corner.
Yeah.
But managed to make it all work. Everything is figure outable, as we like to
Yes.
say around here.
Yes, it is.
And we can't be remiss to miss, like, Ciara and Russell Wilson because they just had another baby. They have 3 she's a mom of 4, she has a son with, her ex future, but they have definitely added to their broad they're slowly just building an entire football team over there in Denver.
They are, and well, it'll be interesting to see where they end up next season. So they might be on the
Mhm.
move as well. So
Absolutely. Well, have movers will travel.
yes.
Now, as we wrap up, I wanna dive into a couple that people may have forgotten about, and I wouldn't call them like we wish they worked out because it's not our job to align their stars, but they had their moment in the headlines, and of course, we would be remiss to not talk about Tom Brady and Gisele. I mean,
Yeah.
2 beautiful humans uniting.
And they made it throughout the entire career, and then what is this? He retired and then unretired, and that was probably the last straw, I guess.
That was it. She said, "I had enough of your crap." Um,
And
Also, Lindsey Vonn has 2 notable
mhm,
big relationships. First, when she was younger with Tiger Woods. They were together for a very long time. And then most recently, she was engaged to PK Subban, who's a former hockey player, another hockey player on our
mhm,
list, and
yep.
that didn't work out. But, I've really enjoyed he's been on broadcasts for hockey, which he's really just a fun person to listen to talk about hockey. And then she's still been killing it in the gym and still been skiing even though she's retired from the sport as well.
And she's recovering from nonstop surgeries. I feel like
Oh
it's
my gosh. I can't even
crazy
imagine.
kind of things, even in the like retirement she's dealing with. But we hope
Just
she
I
finds love.
Yep, exactly. Then maybe she finds a doctor that
There we
can
go.
just, walk her through all the things, make
Yeah.
sure she has the right painkillers and things like that. And then, of course, the last one on our list with the enormous ice skating ring that he proposed with J Lo and Alex Rodriguez.
The one that got
Just wasn't
away.
meant to
Right.
wasn't meant to be.
And for both of them, they have quite a few of those, I think.
Yep,
So
yep, he has a long list of very famous we could have just done a whole podcast on A-Rod's previous loves, Madonna, Kate Hudson, he has a couple more that I can't think of off the top of my head. He has good taste, at least I mean, they probably have fun. They're
yeah,
pretty.
so is he.
Yeah, that's also true,
That might
you
be the
know?
problem. Yeah.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's going back to the full circle to the hockey interviews of
Mhm.
the,
Yeah.
"Hey, it's all about my teammates. I didn't do anything here." And maybe that's the challenge when you get into this level. I can't say
Jail
I know, so
in hockey. I think maybe things would have been different.
maybe, maybe, but now she's with Ben Affleck, so there we go, and they seem happy.
Yeah.
Good enough. I'm all here for just people being happy, whatever they choose to do with their lives,
Mhm.
but just love highlighting some people who, are really out there moving and shaking, making things happen, supporting each other, and so with that, I wish you a very happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. I hope everyone finds love listening to this podcast.
Oh, I almost forgot. I still
Uh-oh.
haven't thought about it, but if you could put 2 people together to make a superpower couple, who would they be?
Oh no. They have to be athletes.
I mean, that's kind of the gist of the podcast.
Can one of them currently be married?
Sure, why not?
Okay, here we go.
Okay, I'm here for it.
I'm going to go. I know he's happily married and a extremely great husband and a great father, but Steph Curry and then Caitlin Clark.
Whoa, that
And
would be a basketball.
we would just have the best shooter in the history of basketball and just the prototype
I I
relationship.
guarantee you they would be that like, like they say when you get married or you start dating someone, you need to find out if their family is the run a 10K on Thanksgiving kind of family or
Yeah,
5K. That would be that family.
yeah. Sorry, Aisha. I had to do it.
No, but I mean that's a good
Yeah.
talent there. I really don't know. I was trying to think of somebody that would be just like completely outstanding. What if we went with I don't know. Who'd be fun to match up with Shaq?
Let's see. I'm trying
What
to
I
think
could
of
see someone like Asia Wilson from the Aces just being the right personality because she is just outspoken, but she's fun. Maybe that's my pairing.
okay. That'd be a very tall pairing.
That well, I mean, we already have the discrepancy between Simone Biles and Jonathan Owens, so we've got to
Yeah.
like bring them back together a little bit.
Deal.
I'm all here for this. I'm here for this. This power couple thoughts. Not that we need the courage to get divorced. Don't look into that.
No,
We're not here for that.
I didn't.
But
That's not
just
what.
the sheer talent and magnitude of talent in
Yes.
that capacity is amazing. And Caitlin Clark, I cannot wait to watch her in March Madness.
And by the time this comes out, she might be the highest scoring female basketball player in NCAA history, most likely. So,
She's out there just dominating. She's the best basketball
mhm.
player we've got in college. Period. And
Yes,
full stop.
correct.
Well, thanks for sharing your fun, hypotheticals, and thanks for sharing this with us today. Go buy yourself a don't buy yourself a box of chocolates because 'cause they're not very good. Go at least go
Mm,
get some
you
M&Ms or
can.
the Reese's. You can, but they've been sitting on the shelf since like, probably since October, so
Mhm.
somewhere in a Hallmark or Walgreens storage facility, so go buy yourself a cocktail.
Okay.
There you go. Thanks. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.